First things first, let's go through the Resolve interface. There are several tabs down here, and they can be a little confusing, but we'll go through it one at a time. Starting off in the Media tab, this is just essentially a way to access your media. You can go in and import media here. I don't usually import media through the media page, but it can be useful to look at metadata. It has everything laid out really nicely. You can look at audio. There's all sorts of things you can do in here. Moving on, we have the cut page. I'm not a very big fan of the cut page, but really it's just a way to edit your videos. It's more intuitive for some people. Some people like it. Personally, I prefer to use the next tab, which is the edit page. This is my preferred editor. It's a more standard editing interface for those who have been doing it for a while. It's really my go-to. Resolve is very much a full-fledged editing software as well as a color grading software. In addition to compositing and audio, they have incorporated a lot of great functionalities. So I spend a lot of time in the edit page. You know, as an editor, as a colorist, this is a place that you come back to often. This is your media pool here. It's where all your footage and files live. This is the timeline. It's where you do the editing. You have the information here about, you know, zoom, position, etc. on just normal editing tools. You can also open metadata. You can open a source viewer, or just go to the inspector. You can turn all sorts of things on and off as you need them. That's one of the great things about Resolve, is it's very flexible with regard to how you want your interface to look. Moving on to the Fusion page. This is really for compositing. It's not something I know a ton about, admittedly, but I have used the Fusion page on occasion to do some tracking or stuff like that. You can do motion graphics in here. It's a really great compositing tool that I know very little about, so I'm just going to move on to the color page. This really is more my space. You have your viewer. The gallery is for stills. We'll get into that a bit later, so I'm just going to turn it off. You have your clips here, and you also have your timeline here. So clips are just an easy way to jump from clip to clip. Very simple. The timeline is a good way to know where your footage is layered. Sometimes it's hard to tell using the clip viewer here where something is layered if it's on top of something else. Sometimes if you have two clips on top of each other in the edit, you don't know which one you're looking at in the clip viewer. So the timeline is a good way to sort of enumerate that and understand how these clips are structured in the edit. You have your color grading tools down here. There's all sorts of tools. I don't use all of them. I don't know anyone who does, but there's something for everyone here. And we'll get into more of that a bit later. And you have your scopes here as well. There's all sorts of scopes. This is just 4. There's many more. Some of these are repeating here, but essentially these 3, the parade, the waveform, and the vector scope, are my go-tos for what I use day to day. So I'm just going to leave that here. Next is the Fairlight page. This is an audio page. I don't know much about audio personally, but this is a pretty powerful software that audio engineers can use to really mix and master the audio of an edit as far as they want to take it. Like I said, I'm not that guy. I really do my audio work in the edit page, but it's here if you want it. Sometimes there's some useful tools in here for the editor to do those things, but we're here to talk about color. Finally, we have the deliver page. This is where you export everything when you're done. There's a lot of options to go through. There's a lot of presets here. There's options for video, audio, and files, and there's just all sorts of things we can do. And I'll get into some of those tricks to get the footage out the way you want it to so the editor gets it the way they need it.